bystander effect occurs when the presence of others discourages an individual from intervening in a potential emergency situation. Many factors can affect bystander intervention, such as gender, appearance or clothing, the state of emergency, the number of people present, and the environment or time of day. This experiment was done in the busy streets of New York City. Most people would assume that there is safety in numbers, that if you're surrounded by a bunch of people during a crisis, you are more likely to get help. This experiment shows that that might not be the case. This man lying on the ground is actually an actor pretending to be ill and in pain and calling out to the people walking around him for help.
Help.
He continues this for over 20 minutes, but nobody walking by stops to help him, so finally he quits acting and gets up. The next person used in this experiment is an actress who is acting like she is barely hanging on to consciousness while lying on these steps. She is obviously in distress. Still, people continue to walk right by her as if she's not there. It's almost as if ignoring her becomes an unspoken societal norm. This lady has clearly spotted the actress and seems to heavily consider going over to help her, but decides to keep walking.
You alright?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, you look a bit sleepy.
Only after someone has made the initial move to help the actress would this lady be willing to get involved and help a stranger who is in trouble. This clip shows the same actor from before, except now he's wearing a suit and is more in keeping with those surrounding him.
How are you today?
Notice that it only took 6 seconds for somebody to stop, call him sir, ask how he was doing, and check to see if he was okay. The murder of Kitty Genovese is one of the most famous cases of the bystander effect that we can see today. In the early hours of March 13, 1964, 28-year-old Kitty Genovese was stabbed outside the apartment building across the street from where she lived, in New York City. 2 weeks after the murder, the New York Times published an article claiming that 38 witnesses either saw or heard the attack, but none of them called the police or came to her aid. Because nobody called the police or came to help her while the attack was happening, Kitty could not receive the medical help that she needed and died as a result. This was actually called Genovese syndrome until it later became known as the bystander effect. Winston Moseley, a 29-year-old Manhattan native, was arrested during a house burglary 6 days after the murder, and later confessed to attacking, stabbing, and killing Kitty Genovese, a process which took about 30 minutes in total. Still, nobody called for help. Black Mirror is a show that aims to examine a modern society with special regard to the possible consequences that could come with new technologies and advancements. In a recent episode called White Bear, the opening scene is a confused woman getting chased by a stranger with a gun. It is made clear that this woman is in life-threatening danger, and this episode clearly points out how people would much rather film someone getting hurt than step in and do something about it. The idea that this scene is alluding to is that in today's world, the thrill of documenting something in order to elicit attention or go viral could potentially override our incentive to help somebody in need. Although there have been no concrete studies on technology advancements or social media in relation to the bystander effect, there have been well-documented cases in which people will watch and record rather than help or intervene in an instance where the victim is clearly in danger. This is definitely a subject that warrants more attention from researchers in terms of better understanding the effects that social media can have on our willingness to help somebody in need.